Chapter 26 Sacred Writings. We believe all things, we hope all things. If there is anything virtuous, lovely, or of good report, or praiseworthy, we seek after these things. Joseph Smith, Jr. The oldest religious texts, like the temple text of Egypt or the Rig Veda, are mostly made up of hymns to the gods. Sacred writings are also called scriptures and the Word of God. We must admit, however, that whether the words are inspired by God or not, they are written by people. The Tanakh was written by Moses, Isaiah, and others. The original authors had distinct writing styles in the first place. Then the books were copied many times. Some were lost, some taken out, others thrown in. Then, in the 5th century BCE Babylon, they were compiled by Jewish scholars. After a couple more thousand years of being copied, they were translated into other languages by people in some royal courts of Europe. Thus we see how man-made they can be. Nevertheless, knowledge is power, and the gods are guiding humanity through divine providence, so these writings are worth our time to read. Given below are brief descriptions of some of the main works of the various world religions and occult societies. I have rounded the dates and tried to list them in chronological order according to the mainstream dating, but keep in mind that there are debated discrepancies in many of the dates. For example, it is widely taught by Western society that Mesopotamia was the cradle of civilization and the birthplace of writing. Yet those of South Asia contend that the Vedas predate Sumerian tablets. Taking into account the fact that hymns and stories were passed on orally for many years before they were written, we may never know. But around 10,000 BCE, long before the writings that we have dated, the people of the Indus Valley were trading goods by boat with the people of Mesopotamia, and ideas were certainly exchanged. A number of written symbols from that time that predate Sanskrit have been discovered in India, but have not yet been deciphered. Given the complexity and completeness of ancient Indian society compared to that of others, I am inclined to view the Indus Valley as the mother culture and the Vedas as older than Sumerian tablets. Sumerian, Bartan cylinder, 2400 BCE. It contains the Sumerian creation myth. Although cuneiform writing began around 4000 BCE, the Bartan cylinder is the oldest religious text that we have found. Egyptian, the pyramid texts, 2400 BCE. This is a collection of writings copied and translated from the walls of ancient Egyptian temples. They are older than any surviving papyrus. Contained are the prayers, ritual offerings, charms, purification rites, accounts of resurrection, ascension to heaven, and more. Book of the Dead, 1550 BCE, more accurately translated as the coming forth to light. Many fragments have been found buried with mummies, but the most complete version was buried with a scribe named Ani. The book was meant as an instruction for the deceased as they journeyed in the afterlife. Hymn to Aten, 1330 BCE, a beautiful litany to the sun god. Hindu, Rig Veda, Shining Wisdom, 1700 BCE, hymns to the gods that talk of their attributes. The other Vedas are the Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. The Rig Veda is believed to be more than 10,000 years old. Upanishads, 500 BCE, a collection of spiritual teachings from gurus. Bhagavad Gita, Song of the Lord, 400 to 100 BCE, contains a philosophical dialogue between Lord Krishna and King Arjuna. It is part of a larger epic called the Mahabharata. Another important epic is the Ramayana. Puranas, ancient, 200 to 900 CE. Many large volumes containing information on creation, genealogies, histories, and much more. Agamas, traditions, also called tantras, weaves. There are hundreds of agamas, and they deal with meditation, yoga, mantras, temple construction, deity worship, cosmology, philosophy, etc. They span from Vedic times to Puranic times. Sutras, threads, are condensed teachings that are also voluminous. The most heard of in the West is the Kama Sutra, which deals with what is pleasurable in life. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is an important work about yoga. Zoroastrian, Avesta, 1000 BCE, put together by Zoroaster in Persia long before Cyrus the Great, but the oldest copies today date to 400 CE. It bears uncanny similarities with the Vedas in its myths, rituals, and names of the deities. Taoist, I Ching, Book of Changes, 1000 BCE, is used for divination. One may cast a series of numbers that make dashes and then look up their meaning in the book. Tao Te Ching, Great Book of the Way, 400 BCE, written by Lao Tzu. It lays out the philosophy of the way, how we should be content, and how a ruler should rule. Zhuangzi, Master Zhuang, 340 BCE, stories that exemplify the ideal Taoist sage. Daozang, Taoist Canon, 400 CE, consists of 1400 texts that are divided into three categories, namely meditation, ritual, and exorcism. Babylonian, Enuma Elish, 1000 BCE, is the creation myth. Epic of Gilgamesh, 1000 BCE, the story of a king that sets out to find immortality. He meets the man who survived the flood and learns about the first man Adapa who visited the gods. Parts of the story come from 2100 BCE ancient Sumer and later from the Akkadians. Greek, Theogony, 800 BCE, written by Hesiod. It describes the origins and genealogies of the gods. Homeric hymns, 650 BCE, a collection of 33 hymns celebrating the gods and their attributes, written in the same poetic style as Homer's epics the Iliad and the Odyssey. Jainism, Tattvartha Sutra, 200 CE. As with Buddhist scripture, the Jain teachings were memorized by monks for centuries, and the original writings from 500 BCE were lost. Jain agamas and sutras are said to have been written by Tirthankara, people that have mastered this life. The Tattvartha Sutra teaches about the 16 observances that will lead one to become a Tirthankara. Buddhism, Pali Canon, Tipitaka, 3 baskets, 30 BCE. Although Gautama Buddha gave his teachings around 500 BCE, they were not put to writing until this time. It comprises 32 large volumes of teachings attributed to Gautama. Lotus Sutra. In Mahayana Buddhism, there are over 2,000 sutras, but the Lotus Sutra and Heart Sutra are the most used. The Lotus Sutra teaches through parables how to become a Buddha, and that there are many who have reached Buddhahood. Jewish, Tanakh, 400 BCE, known to Christians as the Old Testament, is divided into 3 parts. 1. Torah, teaching, 400 BCE, believed to have come down orally from Moses in 1270 BCE. Contains the creation myth, patriarchal genealogies, a law code, and chronicles of wars and kings. 2. Nevi'im, prophets, 130 BCE. 3. Ketuvim, writings. Each part is a collection of books written by various Hebrews. Talmud, 200-500 CE, rabbinical commentary. Roman, Metamorphosis, 8 CE, written by the poet Ovid upon the Caesar's request. It is a compilation of all the Roman myths into one flowing narrative. Christianity, the New Testament, 60 to 150 CE, a collection of writings compiled by the Catholic Church. The first 4 books, or Gospels, are 4 writers' take on the life of Jesus. Some of the books were letters by church leaders containing doctrine. It ends with the revelation, Apocalypse, of John, which symbolically prophesied future events. Apocrypha, 60 to 150 CE, Christian writings that were rejected by the Catholic Church. Gnosticism, Nag Hammadi Library, 80 CE, similar in style to the New Testament. Pistis Sophia, 250 CE, secret teachings of Jesus about the primordial goddess of wisdom and her fall. Kabbalah, Sefer Yetzirah, Book of Formation, 100 CE. It is about 32 paths of wisdom, which have been symbolized by the Kabbalistic tree of life diagram and the mystical use of the numbers and letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Zohar, Radiance, 1200 CE, deals with the nature of God or universal energy and humankind, as well as the origin of the universe. Hermeticism, Hermetica, 100 to 1600 CE, writings that deal with subjects such as divinity, the cosmos, mind, nature, alchemy, and astrology. Emerald Tablet, 700 CE, a cryptic revelation of the secrets of alchemical transmutation. Aztec codices 500 to 1500 CE. The Magliabechiano Codex 1550 CE is a copy of an older codex that describes the Aztec calendar, various deities, religious rites, and cosmology. Islam, Quran, recitation 650 CE, teachings that were given to Muhammad from Gabriel, and in turn given to his followers who wrote what they remembered 20 years after his death. It is comparable to the Tanakh with references to biblical characters and stories. Hadith, reports of the acts and sayings of Muhammad. Shinto Kojiki 700 CE. Japanese Empress Jemei ordered Ono Yasumoto to record the oral traditions from the time of the gods into the current time of humans. Rikokushi 900 CE. 6 histories that also cover happenings from the creation to the time they were written. Jino Shotoki 1340 CE. A patriotic portrayal of the genealogies of Japanese rulers back to the gods. Fudoki 1720 CE. Another gift to the monarchs that outlines Japanese mythology and history. It does contain some myths, rituals, and poems that are not mentioned in the Kojiki. Mayan, Madrid Codex, 900 CE. A priestly record of star alignments that correspond to ceremonial dates. Descriptions are given for rituals like New Year's celebrations, sacrifices, divination, and invocation of rain. 2 other codices have been discovered called the Paris and the Dresden codices. Popol Vuh, 1700 CE. Myths of the creation of the world and the beginning of Mayan civilization. It also gives an account of the hero twins and their adventures in the underworld. Celtic, Liber Gabala Erin, Book of the Conquest of Ireland, 1000 CE. A mixture of Christian, Jewish, and Celtic myths. It talks about the gods that lived in Ireland before the Gauls or Celts. Mabinogion, 1400 CE. A collection of Welsh myths and tales. Norse, Codex Regius, Poetic Edda, and Prose Edda, all written in the 1200s CE in Iceland. These books contain all of the stories of Norse mythology, such as the creation, the interaction of the gods, and the future battle. Sikhism, Guru Granth Sahib, 1400 to 1700 CE. The first 10 gurus of Sikhism each added poems of praise to the one true God. The poems are put to music as hymns. It also shares teachings from Hindu saints. Dasam Granth, 1720 CE. This book contains praise to the Creator, battles of the Hindu war goddess Durga, followed by more praises to God. Yoruba, Ifa, 1600 CE. Ifa is an African religious practice that uses a large group of divination texts comparable to the I Ching of China. The sacred Ifa Oracle is a compilation of the texts printed in 1995. LDS, Book of Mormon, 1830 CE. The stories of some Israelites that migrated to the Americas in biblical times, their wars, teachings, and prophecies, as well as a visit from Jesus to his other sheep. Doctrine and Covenants, 1833. A compilation of revelations given to the prophet Joseph Smith dealing with teachings and commandments. Pearl of Great Price, Smith's translation of Egyptian papyri, and a few newer revelations. Occult, Morals and Dogma, 1871. Albert Pike's explanation of the esoteric philosophies of the Masonic degrees. Isis Unveiled, 1877. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky's first work that discusses paranormal sciences and the connection of all religions to an original ancient wisdom religion. Blavatsky founded the Theosophical Society on these ideas. The Secret Doctrine, 1888. Revealed to Blavatsky by Mahatmas, masters of the ancient wisdom, it is about the beginning of the cosmos and the origin of humankind. The Book of the Law, 1904, channeled by Aleister Crowley from an entity named Aiwass. It teaches to do what you want, trample on the weak, and take advantage of them. This book has little value. The Secret Teachings of All Ages, 1928, Manly P. Hall's outline of Masonic, Hermetic, Kabbalistic, and Rosicrucian philosophy. Book of Shadows, 1949, The Wiccan Rituals, written by Gerald Gardner. Knowledge of the Higher Worlds and Its Attainment, 1947, one of Rudolf Steiner's practical guides to esoteric initiation. The Golden Dawn, 1971. In this book, Israel Regardie reveals the secret teachings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, including magic rituals and tarot divination. These are just some of the books of world religions. All scriptures can be beneficial to the reader. As Joseph Smith put it is impossible for a man to be saved in ignorance. Or, as I would put it, ignorance is darkness and bondage, but knowledge is light and freedom. Another good one is the phrase coined by Sir Francis Bacon, knowledge is power. Ancient Scripts. One way knowledge is shared is through the written word, and the scribes that knew how to read and write were highly valued in ancient times. They all believed that the art of writing was a gift that was shared with us from the gods. In our study of synchronizing the wisdom of the gods, it is interesting to see how writing developed and spread. Below we see some of the out-of-place similarities, conventional morphologies, and synchronicities that exist between the various written languages. The English word alphabet is simply the first two letters in Greek, alpha and beta, and the first two letters in Hebrew, aleph and beth. Our letter A came from an Egyptian hieroglyph of an ox. We can see this by following a trail from 3500 BCE Egypt to 1 CE Europe. Egypt, 3500 BC, Alp. Sinai, 1800 BC, Aleph. Canaan, 1500 BC, Aleph. Phoenician, 1000 BC, Aleph. Greek, 800 BC, Alpha. Latin, 500 BC, A, or A. The Roman Empire brought their altered Egyptian writing to the rest of Europe, which then spread to America and the world at large. A stayed around Canaan to become the modern Hebrew Aleph. Aleph also became the Aramaic Aleph and the Arabic Alif. On the following page we follow the evolution or devolution of ancient Egyptian writing from Egypt in the southeast Mediterranean through the Sinai Desert and up to the Levant, or Holy Land, along the east shore of the Mediterranean. The order of the following lists are as follows. Hieroglyphics, Egypt, 3500 BCE. Proto-Sinaitic, Sinai Desert, 1850 BCE. Proto-Canaanite, Levant, 1700 BCE. Phoenician, Levant, 1050 BCE. Early Aramaic, Levant, 1000 BCE. Aramaic, Levant, 700 BCE. Hebrew, Levant, 160 CE. Then back to Proto-Sinaitic and on to Phoenician, Greek, and Latin. A. Ox. B. House. C. G. Boomerang. D. Fish. E. H. Praise. F. Y. V. W. U. Bird. Z. Sword. H. Courtyard. T. H. Good. I. J. Hand. K. Palm. L. Crook. M. Water. N. Snake. X. Peg. O. Eye. P. Corner. S. Plant. Q. Monkey. R. Head. SH. Bow. T. Mark. The sounds that Egyptian symbols stood for changed in a different way in the area of Egypt. On this page we see some of the morphology of Egyptian, from hieroglyphics in 3500 BCE to hieratic in 2500 BCE to Demotic in 650 BCE to Coptic in 200 BCE. Thanks to the Rosetta Stone, which was made in Egypt in 196 BCE and discovered in 1799 CE, we are again able to read ancient Egyptian script. It was written in hieroglyphics, Demotic, and Greek. Scholars knew the links between modern Latin and ancient Greek, so with the Rosetta Stone, they could find a lion, match it with the Demotic L and the Greek lambda, and link them to our L. The hieratic L was not on the stone. Egyptian made its way around the Mediterranean to Anatolia, Greece, which in turn came back to influence Coptic. It also spread to the east. Below we have, from left to right, Egyptian, Aramaic, Ethiopic, 850 BCE, Greek, 800 BCE, Coptic, 200 BCE, Ancient Arabian, 850 BCE, Syriac, 50 CE, Modern Arabic, 350 CE, Old Turkic 800 CE, Etruscan 700 BCE, Germanic runes 100 CE, Slavic Cyrillic 850 CE, Georgian 430 CE, Tibetan 650 CE, and Modern Latin. Like myths and teachings, the symbols of written language have been fluid in change and exchange as they flow back and forth across the earth and through the years. But these have all been scripts that came from or interacted with the writings of the Nile. There was another group on the Tigris and Euphrates rivers that developed a script called cuneiform. Cuneiform evolved the same way as Egyptian. It started as pictograms that represented words and sounds. The picture language was then simplified to various combinations of wedge shapes. A, E, I, U, Ba, Be, Bi, Bu, Na, Ne, Ni, Nu, Ta, Te, Ti, Tu, etc. The pictogram Sag, head, shown above goes from 3500 BCE to abstracted glyphs and eventually to the Assyrian script of 600 BCE. This form of writing was used by the Sumerians and adopted by the Akkadians, Babylonians, Elamites, and Amorites. Indo-European languages such as Hittite and Luwian also used cuneiform. Later adaptations of wedge-shaped characters were used in Old Persian cuneiform and the Ugaritic alphabet. Cultural divergence and convergence theory. Comparative linguists say that a hypothetical mother language called Proto-Indo-European started in the area of the Caucasus Mountains and spread out toward India and Europe. That idea works well with the Noah myth of the Abrahamic religions, which states that humanity started anew from Mount Ararat after the global flood. The problem with this idea is that no one has ever seen Proto-Indo-European. It was made up to explain similarities between languages. Not only are the Indo-European languages related, but all of the Earth's languages are connected. Historians just haven't made all of the connections yet. There are even similarities between katakana Japanese characters and various ancient Hebrew letters. But katakana is simplified Chinese that was formed 2,000 years after Aramaic. Quipu is a writing system that was used by South American tribes from the Norte Chico civilization in 3500 BCE and continued to the Inca civilization in 1500 CE. People have made marks on rock, shells, bones, clay, papyrus, leaves, bark, but quipu is a series of knots and colors on cotton strings that were used for recording. This may seem unique, but record keeping with knots was also used in ancient China, Hawaii, and by the Iroquois. The Iroquois called this system of record keeping wampum. Before the last global catastrophe, the human inhabitants of Earth all used a complicated form of writing comprised of pictures or illustrations that represented sounds, words, and ideas, much like the growing use of emojis in text messages around the world today. We have other universal symbols such as a man and a woman for man and woman, and a location for defecation and urination. A triangle of arrows means this item can be remade into something else in a factory. A line in a crossed-out circle means one cannot inhale and exhale smoke in the area. A man sitting on a circle designates an area for the lame and disabled. A man walking means walk, or you may travel by foot. A hand means stop. An arrow with another line where two paths connect. A gas pump, there is fuel for your vehicle nearby. Some symbols, ancient and modern, have multiple meanings. For example, poop emoji could mean I had a crappy day, or I need to go to the bathroom, or just hey, what's up? The eggplant has become the symbol for a phallus. The Egyptians were a little more to the point with their phallic symbol. Egyptian, like other ancient languages, used detailed writings to represent both phonetic sounds, syllabic sounds, and whole words. One sound would be represented by a complete figure and painted in full color. Thus we can see that Phoenician was not the first phonetic script. Below are some of the many whole word symbols of Egypt and their transformation to more simple marks in hieratic. Praise, work, eat, man, sky, wood, small, walk, distant, crops, God, house, star, right, city, woman, eye, hearing, sun, boat. Chinese writing also went from detailed writings to simple marks. Jiahu symbols are 16 characters that were found in China that date back to 6600 BCE. Some examples of Jiahu are eye, to see, woman, sun, day, land, touch, hold. The first line below is a collection of Jiahu script from 6600 BCE, bronze script 1600 BCE, and other ancient renditions. Line 2 is from bone oracle script 1250 BCE. Line 3 is seal script from 500 BCE, and line 4 is traditional Chinese kanji. Sun, Ri, moon, Yue, man, Ren, lady, Nu, sky, Tian, field, Tian, mountain, Shan, water, Shui, horse, Ma, fish, Yu, ox, Niu, plant, He, I, Mu. Below we see characters from the 4,000-year-old Chinese bronze script, then the modern kanji, followed by a transliteration and the English translation. Ma, horse, Hu, tiger, Shi, swine, Quan, dog, Qiang, elephant, Gi, turtle, Wei, lead, dew, Ji, illness. Here are some more examples of Mesopotamian pictographs that became the abstract marks of cuneiform. Sun, Ud, earth, Ki, head, Sag, woman, Munus, sky, An, pasture, Udu, mountain, Kur, water, Ah, boomerang, Shub, fish, Ha, ox, Gud, grain, She. We have seen how writing from these three cradles of civilization, Egypt, China, and Mesopotamia, began as pictures and became simple marks. What is amazing is that the other cradles of civilization used the same types of pictures, implying that there was a unified global understanding of symbolic images at the time we started communities in fertile lands. Most modern scripts stem from Egyptian hieroglyphics and Chinese pictograms. Other scripts have died out. Cuneiform was replaced by Aramaic and then Arabic, both of which relate to Egyptian. Indian Sanskrit and its offshoots are also related to the Indo-European languages, but a yet undeciphered script called the Indus script predates Sanskrit by 2,000 years. Thousands of objects have been found containing Indus script. Due to Aryan migration, this script did not live on to become simplified. If we connect the glyphs from the mother language, maybe we will decipher ancient undeciphered scripts such as Rango Rango from Easter Island, and the 5,500-year-old Indus script of the Indus Valley Civilization, as well as Native American petroglyphs and Australian Aboriginal rock paintings. Evidence that the various cradles of civilization around the world had a common understanding of symbols and their meanings is shown in the following table of comparisons. The symbols from left to right are sky, sun, moon, land, mountain, water, fish, bull, grain, man, and throwing stick. From Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, East Asia, America, Australia, and Africa. This is just a sample. There are many more symbols that synchronize from these various Paleolithic cultures. These markings are the closest we have to the Atlantean language. Before the Great Flood, there was a global civilization and language. The survivors of the previous age rebuilt society with the help of the gods who returned to Earth for that purpose. The scriptures of our day are about the wisdom given to us by the gods.